Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by InVision. Find out why so many hot startups are using InVision to prototype, present, collaborate on design in real time. Sign up for a 90-day free trial today at invisionapp.com/twist. And by New Relic. See why thousands of developers worldwide don't deploy without it. Sign up and get a free This Week in Startups t-shirt at newrelic.com/twist. And by AWS Activate, the Amazon Web Services Startup Program. It's easy to start and scale your business with AWS. Visit aws.amazon.com/activate.
Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in Startups. Today on the program, Iota, which is a really clever startup that is running a Kickstarter right now for $250,000, and they're going to hit their goal, no problem. They're building a really amazing tracking device for dogs, for cars, for kids, and it doesn't have that monthly fee or the big, bulky batteries, and it's going to work. And it's building this huge mesh network by crowdsourcing the base stations. It's a really incredible hardware hack, and you're going to learn about building hardware companies today, and you're going to learn about running a Kickstarter to success and what it actually takes to build a hardware-based startup today on This Week in Startups. Stick with us.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah, money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah, we ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in Startups. This is the show where we talk about innovation, creating new products, putting them out into the world, and seeing if people bite, if they want them, if they buy them, if they use them. Now, one of the big innovations of the last 10, 20 years, you know, is GPS. You have it in your car, you have it in your phone now, and all kinds of technologies have been enabled by this. Obviously, mapping was the first, but even things like Google Maps on your mobile phone, and then Uber and Foursquare checking in. A lot of different things have come out of location tracking, and there's all kinds of enterprise stuff. But one of the issues is it's expensive. GPS is very expensive. You have to pay for a monthly fee, and so it's not cheap. But today on the program, I have a gentleman named Ben Wild, and he's with a company called Iota. Iota, I'm pronouncing Iota, which is IoTera.com. IoTera, if you want to take a look at it. Now, Ben, you are in the middle of a Kickstarter as we speak. You're going to make it. You're at $212,000 out of $250,000 of your goal. But walk me through what you've made in terms of GPS and how revolutionary it is.
Sure. So we built the product consists of the Iota and the home base.
Okay.
So the home base, this device you plug in your home. So basically this kind of plugs in, attaches to your window in your house.
Okay.
And it has a Wi-Fi connection to get to our servers. And then it also has our own special wireless technology, which the cool thing about it is that it's like very long range.
Okay.
So this is the Iota device, which sends that proprietary signal back up to the home base. The cool thing is that the range could be from 1 to 4 miles between the Iota and the home base.
Wow.
So it runs over 900 megahertz unlicensed spectrum.
Got it. That's the stuff we remember when we used to buy those cordless phones in our house with the ridiculous antennas. It was 900 megahertz, and it would break up like crazy, or you'd pick up your neighbor's signal.
That's right. Yeah. So like with special signal processing, we're actually able to get that kind of range. The cool thing about like Internet of Things devices, like these GPS trackers, is that they're like very low data rate. And so when you have a low data rate, you can actually get much longer range.
You're not sending that much data.
Right.
Therefore, you don't need to be that close to the base station.
Right. There's always a trade-off between data rate and range.
Got it.
So if you're transmitting like a Wi-Fi signal at 1 megabit per second, you're not going to be able to get much more than a couple hundred feet of range.
So when you're doing Netflix and you're trying to do 1080p, you're not taking that iPad 4 blocks away. But here, you might take your dog for a walk 2 miles away from your house and still have some connection.
Right.
Now, I've seen these little devices because I've been pitched on investing in them, and they usually are for like a kid's wristband we've seen, or a kid tracker, or item trackers. But you always had to pay a monthly fee for it. And I've looked into these, and I guess people do them for like spying kind of stuff too as well, like attaching them to cars, or LoJack is sort of an example of that. But you have to pay $15 a month or $10 a month plus the device.
Right.
With yours, I don't have to pay because I'm not actually connecting to the GPS in the satellite system?
Yeah, so traditionally, when you buy a tracking device, what it has is GPS. So GPS is free.
Right.
The government has put those satellites in space, and you can get that signal.
Explain that to people, because I don't know that they understand that GPS is free, and the United States government has put that in, or all governments?
The U.S. government was the first one to put their satellite system into space. That was, I believe it was 16 satellites, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, they spent billions of dollars maybe 20 years ago. And those are just transmitting different signals. And the tracking device, it has a receiver that receives all those. At any given time, it might be receiving like 8 signals.
Right.
And it can figure out the time of arrival.
Triangulate where you are.
Exactly. Triangulate and then figure out the location, usually to within 30 feet.
Do you know why the government decided to do that for free for society? And not charge for it, or they needed it anyway for military apps, and you can't block it, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, the first application was for military applications, and they actually did make the signal less accurate for the consumer market.
Right.
And then Bill Clinton actually removed that, I believe, in the 90s, and all of a sudden the market took off once they improved the accuracy.
Right. And the accuracy is like within a city block or 100 feet, 10 feet?
It depends on the environment, but if it's like out in the open, you can probably get around 30 feet of accuracy. Yeah.
Now, you are connecting to those satellites?
Yeah, we receive those signals, just like a traditional tracker. But where the traditional trackers cost you a monthly fee is on getting that GPS location data back to the server.
Got it.
To get that data out, you typically need to use a cellular connection. So you got a
cellular connection.
A cellular.
A cellular. I said cellular. Like a cellular. You got to have like Verizon or AT&T, and they charge like for data only.
Right.
But it's still expensive.
Yeah, you might be paying like $10 a month service fee for that. But typically there's 3 problems with using traditional cellular technologies. The first is cost. The second is size. Typically those circuits are a bit bigger. They're kind of designed for cell phones, And the third thing is like battery life. So you're okay with charging your cell phone like every day, but if you're going to put this on your dog, you really don't want to have to charge it.
Oh my God, what a disaster that would be. Yeah.
So this one has a battery life of about 3 months for a pet tracking application.
Oh, pretty good.
Yeah, which is about 5 times better than the nearest competitor right now.
So instead of the hack that you came up with was, put this on your window, and we'll know within 4 miles if stuff's been hacked. Now, if you steal my bulldog and you go 5 or 6 miles, what happens?
Yeah, so the cool thing about what we've done is actually we built really the first crowdsourced wireless network. So the Iota can actually not only talk to your home base, but if it goes out of range of your home base and your neighbor also has a home base, it'll communicate with the closest one.
Which we see here, the San Francisco map.
Yeah.
So everybody who installs one of these is building, I guess what you call a mesh network?
You can call it a mesh network.
But it's not technically a mesh network? Or?
It's more of a star network.
A star network? What's the difference there?
A mesh actually lets you, if you had like multiple Iotas in the field, this can actually use another Iota to hop.
So the Iota is not propagating the network.
Exactly.
Only the base station
is. It's only a single hop network.
Yeah.
So
what's happened in San Francisco so far? Because we're seeing a little animated GIF here. How many of these do you have in San Francisco?
Do you want to open up the website? We have a coverage map, and you can actually see the real-time coverage right now.
Yeah, so that's ioterra.com/coverage.
Exactly, yeah.
Which I'm opening right now. So I guess here's a coverage map. And it looks like...
So you can zoom...
Oh, there's New York.
Yeah, so that's New York, which is...
How do you have this much density? I thought is the product out?
Well, this is planned coverage based on the current Kickstarter backers.
Got it. So if everybody in the Kickstarter does it, we're going to see that. And if I look at... If I zoom out, I can see that, like, hey, if you're in Staten Island and Brooklyn, not quite yet.
Right. But, this is, if you go up a bit, actually, not all Kickstarter backers have reported their address because we don't get their address until the end. So we actually ask them to enter their address.
So 61% have purchased or reported their address. So some percentage are going to be online or not. But it is impressive that, Manhattan and the boroughs are starting to fill in.
Yeah. And you should really check out, like, Los Angeles and San Francisco, which have been our best areas to date.
And so if you go to Los Angeles, wow, like downtown is just massively covered. you are looks pretty good here, especially in Santa Monica and the West Side and Manhattan Beach. So,
and this is really 21 days worth of sales,
Right.
So we are going to keep on taking pre-orders afterwards.
What do the cellular companies make of what you're doing here? Because this seems quite disruptive.
We're trying to keep quiet. No, for us right now, we're just focusing on pet tracking, child tracking, and car tracking. And, we're definitely not interested in going after like cell phones.
Yeah.
That's not the right market for us.
No.
And really, the cellular providers haven't really targeted these kind of products yet. So we just really filled like a market need that we saw. It's not like we...
Yeah, how did you come up with this idea? And what's your background?
Yeah.
Like as an entrepreneur, how do you wind up with this idea and then launching a Kickstarter for it?
So we've been working on this for the past 4 years. I had a previous startup before this, also working on Internet of Things type technologies.
How'd that one do? It failed?
No, we sold it after 2 years. We raised $1 million of angel round, and we sold it after 2 years.
What company was that?
A company called Checkpoint Systems, based in the East Coast. We were working on passive RFID technology, this type of technology that like Walmart wants to use to like tag everything.
Inventory boxes
management.
and stuff like that.
So we built like this smart antenna technology that could position these tags in three-dimensional space. So that in theory you can put these on the ceilings, and then you can take real-time inventory.
Yeah, so if you had the Johnny Walker Blue, had this on the back of it in the liquor store, it's on the top shelf, not the bottom shelf.
Right. And maybe like a customer might have misplaced an item, and that's actually very expensive for a store to have like a lot of associates.
Oh yeah, they took the Johnny Walker Blue and they put it in the by the Bailey section, and now they're like, "Where's that bottle of $300 Johnny Walker Blue, whatever?"
Exactly.
So you cut your teeth on that.
Yeah.
It didn't quite grow that big though. Why didn't it become like a huge company?
Sometimes it's all about the timing, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you just might be just like 10 years ahead of your time, right?
Right.
And
in that case, you were ahead.
I think definitely we were way too early to that market. Even today, like stores haven't been doing like item level inventory. They haven't been tagging everything in the store with RFID tags. Stores are still using barcodes because it's very cheap and it's still pretty effective. But and also the cost, like these tags that they use to take inventory with, even if it's like 10 cents each, you can't put that on a package of bubble gum. It's still too expensive. But we believe that maybe like in 5 to 10 years, it will take off eventually.
So when we get back from commercial break, I want to find out how expensive the trackers are going to get, how cheap will they get, and how small will they get. And then what the value of this network is if you blanket the United States when we get back from this very important message. Hey, listen, this is like the greatest ad read you'll ever hear, because this is for Envision app, which is an app I literally use every day. My designers at Inside and at launch, they just show me stuff on Envision. What is Envision? It's this incredible product where designers take their designs from Photoshop, they lay them out in this like CMS online. It's kind of automated. It's like really easy for the designers to use. But I'm telling you from the founder perspective, what I experience. I get a link in email that says, your designer has a new like Inside 2.0 or 3.0. I click it on my phone. It says add it to the home screen. And then I get to walk through the design in the native location where design is supposed to exist on my phone. And then I look at it and go, wow, this is really interesting. I like this. And they create hotspots on it and I can click on it. But the most important thing is I can, when I'm on my desktop and I got my keyboard and I really want to type a lot, I can start putting notes on stuff. Hey, move this to the left. What about this? I think the Facebook button, maybe we'll put that behind the share button. Maybe the voting buttons need to be thumbs arrows or whatever. Anyway, that's what Envision app does. It lets you track all these mobile designs and do prototyping. It literally is saving us from having to do email chains or PDFs or chat rooms. That's where design gets lost, and that's where you get slowed down, and that's where your product gets its ass kicked by your competitors. All the startups I'm investing in now are using Envision. So now, as an angel investor, I'm getting portfolio companies. My founders are emailing me saying, hey, Jason, check this out. What do you think? That's how fluid and easy Envision makes building great startups and companies. Over 300,000 designers are using it. And let me tell you some of the companies that are using it. Airbnb, Unicorn, Evernote, Unicorn, MTV. They're still in business, I guess. I don't know. Adobe, Box, Unicorn, Zendesk, Unicorn. Like all the unicorns are using this, right? So if you use it, by natural extension, you'll be a unicorn. No, you still have to do your work as a designer. But my God, does this make it easy. And here's a special offer to TWiST listeners. You'll get the starter plan for free for 90 days. unlimited screens, collaborators, real-time comments, sketch commenting. I haven't really used the sketch commenting too much. I got to use that and more. Only at envisionapp.com/twist. Envisionapp.com/twist. Literally, I use this product every day. My phone is filled with Envision links. That's why they're a partner on the program. If it's your first time listening, we do something on this program called whitelisted advertising, which is if one of my companies uses a product or I use it, we tell them, hey, listen, you have been anointed and you can be a partner on the program. But if we don't like your product, we won't take your money. And in fact, we've had this happen in the early days of the show. We didn't like some products. And we're just like, I can't do an ad read for a product I don't believe in. InVision is a product I believe in and use every day. It's so great that they're partnering with us and sponsoring independent media like This Week in Startups, because if I tell you to use InVision, you are going to come back to me and give me a high five when you see me and say, thank you, this product is effing awesome. And it is effing awesome. I love it. All right. Listen, thank you to my friends at InVision for making an awesome, awesome product. All right. With me today on the program, Ben Wild of Iota. You can follow them on the Twitter at iotera.com. Or at Iotera, and they have iotera.com, and go to Kickstarter and support the product. Now, what does it cost is what I want to know. So base station and 1 or 2 or 3 devices, because I would want like 5 devices for my house. So what is a base station plus 1 and a base station plus 5 going to cost me today?
I mean, right now on Kickstarter, we're selling the home base and the Iota for $129. And then
pretty good deal.
Yeah, not bad. And if you want another Iota, 2 Iotas and 1 home base, that's $169.
$169, not bad.
So it's about another $40 to $50 for every new Iota.
Do you have like a mega kit with 5 or no?
We do. We do have a kit with like 10 home bases and 10 Iotas, or you can get like 2 home bases, 10 Iotas.
Why would I need multiple home bases? Multiple homes?
Maybe one in the office, one at home.
But do I have to put up any home base to use them? Or no? Can I just jump on the network?
You could just jump on the network, but we strongly recommend having your own home base because you actually get better battery life the closer the Iota is to the home base. So, if you have a dog and he's mostly at home, you're going to get a much better battery life if you have the home base.
Got it.
Yeah.
And now you're going to make a mobile app as well that shows you not only where your pet is or your child is, but their entire path on a map.
That's right. Yeah.
So like when you get your Uber receipt. Will I get something like that or no?
Right now, it's just showing the location. In terms of the history, I think we are looking at implementing that.
That's what I need.
You want the history. Location.
Are you concerned about privacy? Is that why you're like, I don't know about the history?
It's just I need to talk to our software engineers to see what.
It's hard.
It might just take a little bit more time, but yeah, it's not a hard problem.
It shouldn't be, right? Like when you get your Uber receipt or your Lyft receipt or whatever ride sharing you use. Hopefully, you use Uber, the best one. But you get that receipt, so it's like, oh wow, that's what I want to see. It's like,
but yeah, I think it's a kind of a cool mode to have because if you have like a cat and you let your cat wander outside, it's kind of interesting to know kind of where has your cat wandered the whole day.
Oh yeah,
right.
I'm not a cat person, but I get your point about that.
Yeah. So definitely it's something that we're considering strongly.
How long does the battery last? You said 3 months. Is that like a legit 3 months, or is it going to be like a month or 2? Is it going to be variable?
Yeah. On our Kickstarter page, we basically say that you get about 800 GPS locations per battery charge. So really, it's how often you really use it. So if you open up your app and you're continuously pinging it every 10 seconds, it's not going to last as long as if you only open up your app when you actually lost your dog.
So if I was pinging it to get a map every minute, it would last 800 minutes. So it's not going to, it's going to last like 12 hours.
Exactly. Right.
So it's probably like 24 times a day if I did hourly pinging. That's really what people would probably, or maybe something like that.
Yeah, we believe most people will not be using it too much. Initially it's kind of a cool app. You want to use it a lot.
Yeah, play with it a bunch.
But eventually you'll be using it really when you need it, when you've really lost your pet.
Yeah. Now with this form factor, couldn't you make it twice as big and make the battery last 5 times longer?
Yes, exactly. So we could do that.
A second form factor.
So for instance, if you want to use this to track your car, you're probably okay with a bigger form factor.
Totally.
You probably would prefer like the 1-year battery life instead of a 3-month battery life.
Yes.
So that's definitely something we're considering.
Yeah.
But for pets, you got to have a really small form factor, right?
Well, and also for a mobile phone, like my wife loses her phone like literally 5 times a day.
Okay.
Like this is my life.
Okay.
Where's my phone?
Right.
Where's my phone?
Right.
Then we get in the car. We're like on the way to the airport. Where's my phone? Where's my phone? It's like we basically play the Where's My Phone game. I mean, we also have Find My iPhone, but this would be a lot better because you would immediately know where it is exactly. What about making a smaller one or like incorporating this technology into a Mophie case or something?
That's definitely interesting. You know, I think we're definitely open to that in the future. I mean, right now, because we're a very small startup, we need to really just focus on like very few products. But
Let me ask you a question. How much did it cost to build the Kickstarter page and do this beautiful video and build the prototypes? Because a lot of people who listen to the program are entrepreneurs and they have a great idea. And then what they don't realize is that you actually have to spend a lot of money to get to the day when you launch your Kickstarter. How much time and money did it take for you to launch what I'll call an A+ Kickstarter?
Oh, thanks a lot. In terms of just engineering costs, prototyping costs, that was probably around $300,000.
Wow.
And then in terms of marketing costs to actually get that Kickstarter page up, that's probably another $20,000.
So $10,000 for the video, $10,000 for whatever.
Yeah.
And then did you hire like a PR company for the first couple of months to do it, or you just did it all yourself?
We did everything ourselves, which is very difficult because I don't have that many contacts in the media. So I had to really like try to contact like 100 or so journalists. And we got maybe like 5 or 6 initially, and then kind of the word spread, and we got a few more articles. But really for Kickstarter, it's really like the articles are so important to you. I mean, they generate so much revenue.
So if you get an article in Engadget or The Verge, did you get one of those?
We got TechCrunch, we got Wired. Yeah.
And what can you track how many people bought like in the hours after that?
Yeah, Kickstarter basically gives us a dashboard where we can track the buys from every single source.
And which was the best source, and how much of the $212,000 came from the top 3 sources?
So actually what it turns out that the most purchases we got were from people on Kickstarter just searching for projects.
Really?
Yeah, which was really surprising.
That is surprising because most people felt that Kickstarter was like relying on the mailing list of the people putting stuff up there, right? So Spike Lee puts something up there. It's Spike Lee's, or Veronica Mars, it's their following that's doing it. But it seemed to have hit a tipping point where people are browsing there for cool, innovative products to support.
Yeah, definitely. I think, for like the Veronica Mars project, I mean, she probably did bring in most of the money from her own network.
Kristen Bell.
Yeah, exactly. But for us, we don't have such a big network. And so we actually still got a significant portion from the Kickstarter community just browsing projects.
So when you go to Kickstarter today in 2014 with a project like this, because let's face it, a lot of the products that have come out of Kickstarter or Indiegogo, people have been underwhelmed by them. They've been late. They've been broken. They've been what they were originally supposed to be, which is prototypes or just like really early alphas, maybe betas. But it has resulted in like a little bit of a gap between the expectation of the consumer because the pages are so well developed, and people can make an ad that looks like an Apple ad, and then the reality is, hey, maybe this product's like really kind of alpha and not a refined product. What do you have to do to get Kickstarter would agree to put the Kickstarter up?
I think it is pretty frustrating for an entrepreneur to actually put a project up on Kickstarter, especially if we actually spent like 4 years working on this before we launched. And we know that there's a lot of campaigns. 4 years? Yeah, 4 years since we started working on this. Wow. And so we really didn't want to launch our campaign until we knew that we can actually ship on time,
Right.
And I think, a lot of campaigns do sometimes get a bit too ambitious and they launch too soon, and that hurts everybody else. So, I think that's definitely problematic for Kickstarter, but Kickstarter has modified the rules, especially for hardware projects.
What are the rules now? Explain to us. You just, if you hit the 250, do they give it all to you, or do they give it to you in chunks? And then, how involved were they with you in approving it? Did they have you come to the office? Did they do a teleconference with you? How much due diligence does Kickstarter do in 2014?
They spent a few days reviewing it.
What does that mean, reviewing?
I think they have an office in San Francisco. They probably had 1 or 2 people looking at our video, looking at our pictures, looking at our description, maybe looking at our bios on LinkedIn. And
so just vetting that this is not a scam, basically.
And I think in the past, Kickstarter actually allowed a project that didn't have any like real physical hardware finished to actually go
right.
To go
you just
live.
have mock-ups.
Yeah, mock-ups. And I think one rule they changed was that you actually had to have a picture of real hardware So that's one thing that definitely helps, I think.
So you have a 3D printed, soldered together version, but you actually have to, on video, have it working.
Yes, that's right.
Huh.
Yeah.
But you don't go in for an interview. You don't they just basically review it for over a couple of days, it gets reviewed, and then they just put it public.
I think so. And I think, one recommendation for Kickstarter is maybe to spend a few hours with the founders, with the project creators, and make sure the product's actually working or pretty close to working.
That's what I don't understand is why wouldn't they do a teleconference with you or have you by the office in order to approve putting it up?
Yeah, I mean, it seems
because you would have went.
Yeah, definitely. We would have given them a demo and spent a few hours with them. I think for the benefit of the entire community, I think that's definitely a good idea. I think they're already doing a great job. And I'm sure they're overwhelmed with so many projects being launched, and maybe they don't have as many resources. But it's definitely something that would definitely, I think, improve the quality of the projects.
So basically, for a hardware project to launch today, it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars and months to years of work in order to get it approved. This product is a bit more sophisticated than the average Kickstarter project.
There's some projects which maybe it's just like a keychain locator that just uses Bluetooth. It's one chip. That's going to take you maybe $10,000 to develop
the tracker, I had it. Yeah. The 1.0 wasn't very good, but the 2.0 looks like it's pretty good. Yeah. They're coming out with another one.
Yeah, but this is we believe it's a lot more sophisticated. This has 3 radios inside, 3 antennas. It's a combination of very complicated hardware. We have server software, the iPhone app.
All right, when we get back from the ad break, I want to know how does this become a real big company? Because we didn't get to that yet. And I think there's some big company here. So I want to know if you execute perfectly what this company looks like in 5 or 10 years. Yeah. And let me just take a moment to tell you about a great product, which is New Relic, which is really powerful application performance monitoring, which I use for Inside. And I got to tell you, during the launch of Inside, people have heard the story. We had some bad code, and it was just triggering all this craziness because every time somebody would scroll, it would fire off a bunch of votes. Nobody knew what was happening. Then the database would get overwhelmed, and we were screwed. And so basically, we couldn't figure out what the bad Ruby code was. We put New Relic on everything, and then it points to the exact piece of code, that's what's broken. And we fixed it, and life was great. They have a really great product called New Relic Insights, which is new, and that will let you ask your software questions and get answers immediately, like how many people signed up for a free trial today, or what is our revenue by geography, or how many unique visitors completed checkouts. NewRelic.com/twist to get a free T-shirt, This Week in Startups T-shirt. Go ahead and go to NewRelic.com/twist. It's a great product. Everybody's using it. If I tell you the client list, including Inside.com, it's people like Nike, Warby Parker, Airbnb, and Comcast and AT&T. If Comcast and AT&T are using this, those are major players in the telecom and technology space. They are going to spend the money to get the best stuff. And you know what? New Relic is really affordable. It's another one of these software as a service folks who are just charging a fair price and then making the product better and better and better and better, and then scaling up to literally hundreds of thousands of customers. Of course, having Warby Parker and Airbnb and these kind of companies is pretty impressive as well. We get all these emails all the time showing us exactly what the performance of our servers is, exactly what the performance of the transit is, the pipes, and on the application level. So you can just see very easily how fast your product is. And speed is one of the great advantages. It's one of the killer features. The faster and more stable your product is, the more people will use it. That's what Google does. That's what Marissa is doing over at Yahoo, just speeding the pages up, making it better. And that just always increases performance. That's what Instagram did. It's what YouTube did. If you make the product faster and more stable, the product will grow. It is a very basic 101 thing. In fact, I was having huge discussions about this at Inside yesterday, which was why are we doing this, this, and this with the product? Is it going to make the product faster, or is it going to make the product better in some technical way, but not actually create a faster experience for the users? And if it's not a faster experience for the users and more stable, why are we doing it? And that's what New Relic lets us do. We get tremendous insights with their tools. Okay, listen, I can go on forever. Go ahead and sign up, newrelic.com/twist. No credit card required. Get the free T-shirt. Okay. So this product looks like it's going to get to a nice 1.0. You're going to have it out in the market, the end of the year, Christmas?
Around January.
January, right. So people are investing now in the summer of 2015. It's August. And January they get it. let's say it's a runaway hit. And 80-90% of people put these things on the windows and don't take them down. And they all get 10 friends to do it. And you go from whatever it is, hundreds of these or low thousands to tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
What is your business in 5 or 10 years if you blanket the entire country or, 98% of the population's, residencies?
I think there's a lot of options for us to go. I mean, that's obviously a very powerful place to be. But right now we're really focused on pet tracking and car tracking.
Yeah.
When you look at those markets, there's about 200 million cars in the U.S., 150 million dogs and cats in the U.S. Take that together is 350 million. If we sell Iotas for $100 each, that's a $35 billion total available market, and we don't want to get carried away thinking much beyond that because that's already like a huge market. And if we can just get 10% of that market within 5 years, that's $3.5 billion of total revenue. So for us, it's exciting to have this network, but we really just want to focus on getting these products out and providing a great experience,
Wouldn't this have massive enterprise, though, application? Because you do have all the UPS trucks and garbage trucks. They all have these things in them already, and they can afford to pay probably hundreds of dollars a month. I'm guessing they pay $100 per month per car or something to put those things, buses. But this would have, huge ramifications if on an enterprise basis, wouldn't it?
A lot of enterprise customers, they're always worried about quality of service. And, even though we will have a good quality of service once we get enough home bases installed, sometimes, these companies might be a bit conservative and they might actually choose to go with the traditional cellular companies because those will have the high quality of service.
Gotcha.
So we'll see how things play out, but it's definitely like one option for us.
And how did you come to that the 900, because I've never heard anybody say 900 megahertz. All I hear now is Bluetooth low energy or GPS or, doing like the 4G data plan only for whatever amount per year. Yeah. How did you wind up striking this balance between using this 900 megahertz and this idea of this huge, crowdsourced network?
The 900 megahertz is really good because the lower frequencies actually propagate longer distance, and they can actually bend around buildings a bit easier than the high frequency. So for if you're using Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, you'll notice you only get a few hundred feet of range. It's one factor is the frequency, and one factor is the data rate. But 900 megahertz, it's not too busy of a frequency band.
Not anymore, right? Because people don't use these stupid phones anymore.
Right. So that definitely helps. And there's also
Will it get super crowded and problematic like the 900 megahertz phones did?
It is definitely getting more crowded. You have a lot of utilities using it right now for smart meter applications. So Pacific Gas and Electric, they're using it at people's homes to get to automate the collection of meter readings.
Interesting.
So those are all using 900 megahertz right now. So it is definitely getting more crowded. That's another reason that having more home bases around actually is better for the spectrum as well, because the more home bases we have and the closer the Iotas are to the home base, we can transmit with less power to get our data across.
So you're not going to cram up the bandwidth as much.
Right.
The spectrum. You're not going to use as much spectrum.
Right.
Because you're so close to a base station.
Yeah.
Now, what can this cost get down to? Because one of the things that was sort of puzzling to me is I kind of think those things cost 10, 20, 30 bucks to make. Why not give people a couple more and try to get more out there and build the network faster? Did you build this so that you could make back the money you invested already up to now? Or talk to me about how you decide on the price for this.
So actually right now on Kickstarter, we're actually selling it for almost our cost to manufacture.
Oh, really?
Because actually in low volumes, the hardware manufacturing cost is very expensive.
Is it?
Because manufacturing the plastic and stuff like that, there's a very big fixed cost in terms of injection molding, stuff like that. So really on Kickstarter, we're not making money at all. So it is actually a lot more expensive until we get to the high volume, and then the prices start coming down.
Did you bring this to angel investors and raise angel capital or venture capitalists?
We raised venture capital in August of last year.
You did?
Yeah.
So you're a venture-backed company.
Yes.
How many people work at it?
We have 4 full-time.
4 full-time.
Right now. Yeah.
So who'd you raise from? Did you announce it?
We have a firm called Zenchin Capital.
Huh. Yeah. Where are they based?
They're based in Menlo Park.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And so when you explain to them that you're going to make a crowdsourced 900 megahertz network, and that it needs to get this crazy amount of coverage based on like the crowd doing it. I mean, so it's got a lot of risk factors, doesn't it? How did you get them past all those risk factors?
Well, they told us we'll give you a really low valuation.
Oh, really? Yeah.
No, I was kidding.
No, that's true probably, right? If you're going to do something crazy and they're going to give you money before you built it, you're not going to get the best valuation, right?
No, they gave us a good valuation. I think it took a long time. We were talking with them for like a good 5 months before they decided to invest. So it does take like a lot of convincing, and it is like a brand new technology. So it did take a while.
What was it over those 5 months that got them through the process of a no or a maybe to a yes? Like it must have been like maybe, yes.
Yeah.
What do you think got them to a yes?
So our investors, they have some companies they know in Japan. And we actually talked to the Japanese company, and they actually wanted to use our technology for child tracking. And they were ready to like place an order. And it was like a pretty big order. So, they got excited. I think that really was the turning point. Yeah.
How did you get, so basically coming to them with a purchase order or just the interest made them say there's a market here.
Right.
So some external validation from a customer. Did that come in the form of like an insertion order or like a guarantee or a check from that Japanese manufacturer? Or just, you said there was a conversation?
It was really a conversation and like strong interest. There was no PO or anything. But yeah, that's kind of.
Did they talk to the client or they do due diligence and do that?
Yeah. We actually, we met with the customers and explained the product and
Did the VCs then go meet with the customer and talk to them and say, so they did do due diligence?
Yeah, they do due diligence,
Interesting. See, I've started doing that myself.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, I had one company that I was going to invest in, and they said they had these 2 clients, and then Bryce, who works with me here, he went and checked, and they didn't actually have signed contracts.
Oh, okay.
So it was a little bit weird.
Yeah, that's a good idea to do the due diligence.
Yeah, but then there's other 2 that we did. They had clients who couldn't shut up about them. And who had paid money, and they did have. So a little bit of due diligence there. As a founder, you don't get offended by that when they say they want to talk to the client or anything like that. You're stoked.
I think as a founder, you're whenever you're talking to investors, there's technology risk and there's a market risk, and you're trying to alleviate both. And when you have a technical background, it's very easy to alleviate the technology risk. But the market risk, that's a tough one, So we understand that, and we don't take offense to that.
Yeah. Why didn't anybody else build this before, do you think?
So actually in 2002, Steve Wozniak started a company called Wheels of Zeus.
I remember that.
Yeah, and they tried to do exactly what we're doing. It was a bit bigger. The technology was it was not as advanced back then. And I think, he had a great vision, but I think he was probably about 10 years ahead of his time.
As is the case with Steve Wozniak.
Yeah, right. I think, and today what's really happened that's different than it was 10 years ago is back then there was no smartphone. Like, if I have this, that's great, but what am I going to use to look up the location? I don't want to use my laptop all the time to look up the location. The smartphone is the best user interface device,
Yeah.
So I think, and also like GPS technology wasn't as advanced,
Yeah.
So
I mean, just not being smartphones not being out there would be like, and the battery life must have been terrible.
Yeah, and we use like the cloud to control all these home bases and to manage everything. Back then, there was no Amazon Web Services.
Right. Things have gotten so much cheaper.
That allows us to actually sell this without a monthly service fee. Cloud services are so cheap. So.
And is there a way that this device could be the window device, the base station, could be built into some other product that would be more like home security or something? Because I did notice in your promotional video, these will alert you if there's motion. And you had a PO box and a door where you put the sensor on a door or a PO box.
Right.
And then you're saying you could set those that if it moves, which is a very small movement, isn't it? To alert me?
That's right. So these things are not just GPS trackers, but they have motion sense capability. So, there's like a bunch of use cases where that becomes in handy. One is like putting it on a door to use it as a home security sensor.
Right.
Or a window to see if your window's opened. Or let's say you have a bicycle and you go to the coffee shop. You can put this underneath your bike seat, and if there's motion of the bike, you can get an alert right away on your phone, even before it gets stolen.
Got it.
Which is kind of useful.
Interesting. So just getting motion on a device is kind of fascinating as well.
Right. Yeah.
What about putting an external power source on that? I mean, I see it has a micro USB.
That's right. Yeah.
That's to charge it.
Yep.
But could you just plug it in and leave it plugged in somehow?
Yeah, you could. So if you wanted to put it in your car, you could just plug it into the USB port, and it'll be good to go. Yeah.
And what about putting camera technology on it as well and just taking snapshots? Because there are a bunch of spy, like little thumb drive things that take, low-res snapshots that you can do. Have you thought about that? Like, because this sort of feels like you're on the cusp of building a little more. I mean, I hate to go down your roadmap on you, but are you sort of going down like security in general? Do you see this becoming a security company where you kind of compete with ADT?
Do you have a product management background by any chance?
I have done 470 episodes of This Week in Startups and invested in 70 companies, which means I invested in 1 out of 200, so I've probably seen 1,400 pitches in the last 3 years. So.
Yeah, you're asking great questions. So on Kickstarter, we've actually gotten a lot of requests for like cameras on the Iotas because they want to see where your pets are moving around. You know? So that's definitely possible. Cameras are like very miniature these days. When you do take a snapshot, that does take quite a few bits to transmit like an image. Our network is more optimized for low data rate stuff, but in theory we could transmit it. It just might take a few seconds.
Which would be fine.
Yeah.
Especially if I was just doing it once in a while. Because they do have that, what's that product that people are clipping on? I had them at one of the shows. They changed the name of it.
They had a Kickstarter project for that, right?
They did. It was a little square, and you plug it in. Somebody in the control room can tell me, but it was a very controversial product because you would clip this little box onto you. It looked like just a chiclet of gum. But it would take a picture every 60 seconds. So when you walked around, you went on your hike and you went throughout your day, you just constantly taking pictures, and then you could scroll through it and pick the highlights of your day. But also, of course, it was like you're going to be like, I'm going to have 50 pictures of you after we do the show.
Right. So I'm definitely curious how that product does. Like that does seem like a lot of pictures to take, and to sort through all those pictures could be a pain. But sorting
through them and then the privacy issues, like I almost feel like I would forget that I had it on.
Right. That could be kind of dangerous, right?
It feels kind of dangerous to me, like to have that much. That's many photos going, but it does seem possible. So you could know when doors open, you could know when windows open. I mean, this seems to me like you're headed right to ADT.
Definitely. Home security is a huge market, and we can, target a lot of the use cases in terms of doors, windows, with the same home base.
It'd be great for people who are renters because as a renter, you can't put a security system in. But if you rent an apartment, you could do that. Or if you had a hotel room, you could put this. You could set it up in your hotel room really easily and know if people have come in and out of your hotel room when you're not there or something. It's got a lot of James Bond shit going on here.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's really exciting. Lots of use cases. We're pretty excited about it.
You could also drop that in somebody's pocket or the backpack and know where they're going. How do you deal with privacy and those kind of things? Or
that's a tough challenge. I think with privacy, there is like a lot of legislation in California, which makes it illegal to actually track somebody without their permission. So I hope that the legislation will definitely help dissuade people from doing that kind of thing.
Is it really being put into law now? You can't.
I believe it's already a law where you can't do that without their permission. Yeah.
Interesting. Makes sense. Because this is, I don't think anybody expected this to be available, but my Tesla knows where I am at all times too, which is kind of weird. But you can turn it off on the dashboard.
Right.
But that's where cars are going as well. All right, listen, I think this is going to work, and I really cannot wait to get my hands on this. I'm going to order it today.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it just seems like one of these things that if it works, it's going to be for the greater good.
I think so. There's always risk with every new technology, but we believe the benefits far outweigh the risks with this.
Yeah, I just think for kids and pets, and cars, I think you nailed it. Like, this is going to be just absolutely fantastic. And I think what would be great is if it gets to scale, and then you could license the technology into a Mophie case or license it into a backpack where it's like it's inside the backpack somehow and people don't know it's there. So it's like weaved into the backpack and then I have a little USB port in my backpack. So if somebody steals my laptop bag in an airport, and I take out my phone, I can see where they are.
Exactly.
Or luggage. Oh my God, luggage tracking.
Yeah, it's funny. We get a lot of people on Kickstarter asking us about luggage. We get tons of people asking us about tracking people with dementia or children with autism.
Yeah, that's a big one, right?
Children with autism. So
well, you had to set up the electric fence. So you're going to do that too?
We have the geofence. So we
the geofence. Explain what that is to people, because that really does apply to people with Alzheimer's, sadly.
Yeah, definitely. So with geofences on the smartphone app, you'll be able to draw any shape you want around a certain area.
Right.
And when the Iota goes outside that area, you'll be able to get a text message alert when that happens.
So if the dog leaves the property or grandma leaves the property and grandma, sadly is suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's,
Exactly.
Are there people doing that yet? Are there grandma trackers or?
There are, but they're all kind of cellular based. They're pretty expensive. They're bulky. The battery's not that great. So
all those disastrous pieces too.
Yeah.
All right, listen. Everybody go to Iota. Everybody go to Kickstarter. And listen, for 150 beans, it's worth supporting something like this. He's almost there on his goal. Let's all tweet it, and let's try to get Ben where he's going to go. I mean, you'll make it, right? If the VCs don't, you could call your VCs and be like, hey, put in some orders now. Do you think people do that? Do people goose their Kickstarter?
Yeah, I think that happens. Yeah, definitely.
Why did you do Kickstarter, not Indiegogo? Let me ask you that question. Is it more prestigious?
I think that with Kickstarter, it is a bit more prestigious than Indiegogo. There's been more hardware successes on Kickstarter. And we didn't spend too much time thinking about it. We just kind of went with a more popular site.
Right.
But I think Indiegogo is great too. I think they have they have a referral program on Indiegogo, which they support, which I think Kickstarter doesn't.
Oh, that's kind of neat. So if you say to Engadget, not that they would do it.
Yeah.
But if you went to a blog and said, hey, if you put this link in here, everybody who buys it, you get $1 or 10 or something.
Right.
Oh, that's legit.
Yeah, right.
Although if it doesn't work out, now you've got The Verge or Engadget. I don't think news organizations would do it, but whoever is doing it is kind of
Right. So
responsible.
I think maybe you have some friends, you want to tell your friends, you want to make some money from that.
Gotcha.
So
or get yours for free.
Yeah,
or something to that effect.
Right.
Yeah, it's a little weird on the economics there, but it is interesting that people consider Kickstarter more exclusive, I guess.
Yeah.
For hardware, at least.
Right. And they've had the success with Pebble Watch, things like that, and
What about the 2.0? Looking down the road, do you think it's wise to use Kickstarter again, or to use? I know there are some platforms where you can run the campaign on your own site and not give, what is it, 5% to Kickstarter?
5% Kickstarter.
Plus fees.
Plus the credit card fees, yeah.
So it's 8%.
Around there, yeah.
So they make 5%, so they make $12,500 off of what you just did.
Yeah.
It seems kind of reasonable.
It's very reasonable, especially since we get a lot of traffic from Kickstarter users.
If you get more than 5%, it's worth it.
Exactly. So it's definitely, I highly recommend using the Kickstarter platform.
Now, what about doing the 2.0? Because I've always found it weird that people do the 1.0 and then they don't go back to Kickstarter and do the 2.0.
Yeah.
Is that because Kickstarter doesn't want people to, or the people don't choose to?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think for us, once we do 1.0 and people know about us, then I think it's much easier to do 2.0 outside of Kickstarter. Yeah. And get maybe our existing community to help us out with the marketing.
Yeah. See, I think that founders who don't use Kickstarter when they have these kind of projects or Indiegogo, I think it's in some cases because they're scared that their product's not going to work. So they don't want to, they want to push out the bad news.
Yeah.
But in a way, isn't it better as a founder now, because this is your second company or a third?
Yeah, second. Yeah.
Wouldn't you want to know as quick as possible there isn't a market for this so you can go on to the next thing? Were you scared that it might go flat?
I think I really believed in our product. I think the biggest challenge was getting the word out. I knew that once the word got out, that people would love this product.
Yeah.
But definitely there's some fear that I couldn't get the word out. We don't have much marketing experience, and that was my biggest fear.
Yeah.
But everything's worked out well. And you just got to take chances sometimes. I think it was worth the risk. And, you have to very early on make sure the market exists. And Kickstarter is the best platform to do that very quickly at a fairly reasonable price. So I think it's, you definitely have to be ready. You have to have the product ready. Don't go in there too early, but you got to go through that kind of process, at some point.
Do people do paid advertising around their Kickstarter, like buy Facebook or Twitter ads and try to get people to it?
Yeah, we've actually spent some money on Facebook ads.
Did it work?
Yeah, definitely. They are effective. I think customer acquisition cost is not going to be as good as a product that's already available on the market, but it's not bad,
Yeah, and it builds awareness, I guess.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Right.
And who did you target? You just target homeowners or men or women or people in Palo Alto? How did you target it? Or did you just say everybody at a low price in the United States?
I think you have to be very careful with targeting. If you don't target it correctly, you're going to be wasting a lot of money. But we targeted like people that are into gadgets, stuff like that.
Yeah. So it's
that
worked.
helped. Yeah.
All right, listen, Ben, continued success with it.
Yeah,
it's a really clever idea. I think it's going to work.
Yeah, thanks.
But nobody knows, right? I mean, that's the great part about entrepreneurship is you got to try it and you see. Everybody go to iotera.com, 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 and he's Ben Wild 10.
Yep.
Like Twitter. You're a 10 out of 10?
Yeah, sort of.
I like that. It's a little confident there. Perfect 10. Ben Wild 10. I like it. It's 10, not TEN. Thanks, New Relic, for building an awesome product that saved me. And thank you to Envision App. I love both of your products, and I am the luckiest bastard on the planet because I get to do this show and talk to entrepreneurs, which like literally is the most fun thing you could do. And thank you to the people who work so hard to make this program and book all the guests. I love doing what I do here every day and reading ads for products that I already love and then talking to entrepreneurs about building cool shit. I mean, does anybody have a better gig than me?
Probably not.
I mean, Ben,
yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I'm jealous.
I have a pretty, I'm just having this realization 470 episodes in. I got a really cool fucking life. I talk to entrepreneurs. The sponsors are products I love. And then I get to invest in companies I love.
Yeah.
What a great life this is.
Yeah.
It really is a great life as an entrepreneur. Don't you love what you do?
It can be stressful sometimes, but overall it's worth it. It's lots of fun. You get to be your own boss. Get to work on cutting edge technology and interact with people like you. So.
What do you do when you get like stressed out? Like you just stay up all night, you grind your teeth? I used to do that, stay up all night.
I recommend that anybody that has like a high stress job, they should like do exercise routine every single morning.
Totally.
So that's a huge deal for me. And
just
that
do a little run, workout, whatever.
Yeah, like even like 30 minutes a day. That's huge, in terms of stress reduction.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You know what else works?
What's that?
Take your friends to dinner and get a bottle of wine.
Yeah, definitely.
Honestly, like literally, I talk to people who are entrepreneurs, like people I've invested in or friends, and they're freaking the F out about like how stressed out they are.
Right.
I'm like, let's go have dinner and eat some pizza and wine, right? Like a pizza and get some thin crust pizza, some wine, whatever, some carbs.
Yeah, definitely.
And let's just talk. Yeah. And you know what? If you eat some good food with your friends, drink some wine, you work out in the morning, like everything seems fine, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Red wine is great.
That's the problem people have is I think entrepreneurs get stressed out and they start getting inward looking. They stay up all night. They try to do more work. Yeah. When what they really need to do is get out there and work out a little bit, talk to their friends, and just let a little bit of that excess anxiety and steam off.
Yeah, and definitely. And I think like one more thing that helps is always take at least one day off a week. Like no matter how busy you are, take Saturday or Sunday off. And you'll actually see your productivity level goes up over the other 6 or 5 days that you're working, and you actually are way more productive. And it's like counterintuitive sometimes when you're really busy, but just do it.
It's a fallacy of like hard work. Like, I mean, you can't put in 30 or 40 hour weeks and expect to have a great outcome. You really got to put in 50, 60 hour weeks if you want a great outcome.
Right.
But you put in 70, 80, 90 hours weeks, you actually starts working very much against you.
Exactly.
I optimize all my companies. I just tell people it's a startup, 50 hours a week. Not 35. Like put in a hard 50 hours a week, but then call it.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's my number after 25 years of doing it. What do you try to do?
I think around 50. I think that's the optimal for me as well.
How old are you?
35.
So you've been through this, right? Like so you've done the 90-hour week, 80-hour week?
Yeah, my first company, I was like 80 hours and it was just like a disaster. Like,
it's a disaster. You can't see straight.
Yeah.
It's like you're working so hard you can't even see what you need to do next. But if you put those 50 hard hours in, and then what I find too also is I don't have people burning out on me, or I don't have this like culture of anxiety in the companies anymore because I'm just like, listen, I don't want people working over this amount of time.
Right.
And I don't want people storing up all these vacation days, and I don't want people here every weekend.
Right. And I kind of also like the idea of like people taking vacation whenever they need it rather than having this set amount of time to take vacation, So
that you know what that thing is though with that time thing with like unlimited vacation? I hear from a lot of people who have the unlimited vacation that if you actually start taking vacation days, they actually wind up taking less because people look at them and they're like, what are you doing? I don't know if it's a good time. It's never a good time. Like you got, oh my God, the Kickstarter's going up. Oh my God, the Kickstarter's almost done. Oh my God, the Kickstarter's done. We have to get this thing shipped. It's never a good time. I find that whole thing.
I'm not sure about that theory, but I think you're right. I think maybe having this fixed amount of vacation days might be the best. Yeah.
Or I think you have to monitor people too. Like some people, they just carry stress or whatever. And you have to monitor them. Like
That's true.
The one report I get sometimes is who hasn't taken their vacation days. And I'm like, listen, you're going to start losing vacation days. Can you just take off Friday and Monday, or just take off the next 4 Fridays? And just get your shit done in 4 days, which can easily be done. And keep your phone on Friday if you need to, and check in. But take a 3-day weekend. Get out there.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, listen, Ben, continued success with this. And thanks to everybody who works on the show. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.